This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so let's start with the today's agenda and today's demo. So today, first of all, we are going to see our agenda, and in our agenda we have first of all we will see what is mobile testing, and then we will see different kind of mobile platforms, and then we will see the approaches which are there for the mobile testing, and then we will see the mobile testing lifecycle, and then mobile development lifecycle, and then we will see what are the different kinds of mobile apps, their characteristics, their limitations, and then I will take the question and answers. So at the end, we will also see what are the different kind of interview questions which can be asked for these all these kind of topics. So let's start with the first point. What is mobile testing? So as we know, what exactly mobile testing is? Mobile testing is something which we are doing on mobile devices in order to verifying our apps. And when we talk about testing our mobile apps, it means two aspects. The one is the functional and another one is non-functional. Probably if you are not new to the testing, you also have heard about the functional and the non-functional aspects. So what are the functional aspects? Functional aspects are those aspects which are related with the features of the app, right? So these are the functional aspects. What are the non-functional aspects? Non-functional aspects are related with the performance, right? So whenever we are talking about the non-functional aspects, it's the performance of the app. And when we are talking about the performance, it means response time, right? What kind of response time we are getting, what is the CPU utilization of our processor when we are navigating to the different, when we are using the different features of the app. So these all things are called as non-functional aspects, and the functional aspects are related with features. So whenever there's a question where somebody is asking you about the mobile testing, then we have to cover all these kind of aspects. Whenever we are coming for the automation, then for functional things, we have different kind of tools. For non-functional things, we have different kind of tools. So in this course, we are learning about Appium, which is more or less like a functional automation tool. And it is responsible for automating the functional test cases. Though we can do a bit of non-functional things as well with Appium, but mainly or majority wise, this tool is not used for identifying the non-functional aspects. For non-functional aspects, we have some tools like Jmeter, we have some tools like LoadRunner, and so on. So these kind of tools are used for non-functional aspects. So if there's a question or if somebody is asking you what mobile testing is, so the answer is, testing the mobiles for functionality, usability, and performance. And testing normal web applications on different mobiles also come under the hood of mobile testing. So it's not only the apps, but also the mobile websites. So whenever I am going to any website, for example, irctc.com, right? So whenever I'm opening this irctc.com on my mobile, so it's also an example of mobile testing. What is usability? Any one of you? Do you know what is usability testing? Usability testing is more or less testing the mobile app from usability point of view. Usability point of view means user friendliness. That how mobile app is user friendliness, and what the layouts and the design, whether these designs and the layouts are user friendly or not. So sometimes it's like that when we are navigating to an app, we are being attracted by the UI, and we want to spend some time with the app. We want to just navigate the different buttons, or we want to do different things. So that aspect is known as usability. That is known as usability testing. Okay, why mobile testing is important? We already covered this topic last time because nowadays there are a lot of devices. So for all those devices, we need we need to verify that our particular mobile app is working fine on all those devices, right? So that's why mobile testing is important. We have to check the performance of our mobile apps. We have to check better usability of the mobile app, because if usability is not good, then might be a chance users are not spending too much time on the mobile apps. So that's why this mobile testing comes into the picture. And then another aspect is users loyalty and to be in a competition, because right now for a particular theme there are various apps. If we want to be in a competition, if we want to be loyal to our users, then the best way is to test our app extensively. Because if there's a bug in our app and our competitors are doing good in some different aspects, then it's not making any sense to launch the application or launch our app in the market. So all these points are very important from what to say is from mobile testing point of view. So that's why for the performance, for better usability, for better loyalty, to be in a competition, for all those things we have to test our mobile apps. Okay, then what are the different kind of mobile platforms? Probably you already know that we have different kind of mobile platforms. So these platforms can be categorized into three. So the first is Android. We all know about that, right? And then another one is iOS. We all know, and the third one is Windows. So this curriculum is about Appium, and with the help of Appium, we can automate all those three kind of platforms. So we can automate the mobile apps which are there in Android. We can automate the mobile apps which are in their iOS, and the same thing applies for the Windows platform. So Appium is used for all kind of platforms. Then what is the mobile platforms market share? That's very interesting question. So according to the global stats counter, the percentage of this mobile share for Android is around 74.43%, right? So whatever the traffic which is being generated by the mobile or the mobile devices, out of those traffic, 75%, like it's approximately 75, the 75% of this market is being captured by Android. It still shows that the Android market is quite large and it's quite huge if we compare with the another operating systems. And iOS is around 24.99%, and the rest of the market is captured by Samsung and KIOS, Windows, and some unknown operating system. So Samsung, it has its own operating system, and Windows is quite less. If you compare it with the Android and iOS, then it's quite less. So sometimes this kind of questions are also asked if you are going for an interview, that how much percentage of the market share is being captured by Android phones or iOS phones. So these kind of statistics are sometimes very interesting to understand and to read, because sometimes some questions are asking from these statistics. Another important point from here is these are the global statistics, but if you're going if you are looking a glance into the specific markets like EU market or USA market, then these statistics can be different. So in whatever country you are working or in whatever continent you are working, that's sometimes very important to know those statistics, because if I talk about European Union, then the market share is not exactly the same. I think iOS and Android are approximately around 50-50%. The same thing is applicable for USA, or in USA comparatively the iOS market is a bit higher than the Android market. So this also depends on the lot of factors, the purchasing power of the particular people, and also this how people are responding to their needs. So these all statistics, are responsible for the actual market share captured by these platforms. Now let's understand the concept of Android SDK and APK. So what is Android SDK and what is Android APK? So APK is, probably you have heard about this APK whenever you are going to a Play Store, Google Play Store. So for example, this is my Google Play Store, and then we have a lot of apps there. And whenever you are you want to install any app in your device, so what you have to do, you have to download this APK file. So in the Play Store, it's nothing else but these are the APK files which we have to download or which we have to install in our mobile operating system. So APK is Android Package Kit. So this is a full form of APK, and APK is the format which is used to install any app in the Android operating system. So Android operating system, because when we will see the architecture of Android, we will see how this the whole architecture of Android is based. And in this architecture of Android, the very important thing is Android can only interact when the files are in APK format. So that's why whenever we want to install anything on Android, then this should be in APK format, and APK format is Android Package Kit. That's the concept of APK. So APK are nothing but these are the files which are used to install any application on the devices, on the Android devices. This is the concept of APK. Now, what is the concept of SDK? SDK is software development kit. So software development kit means whenever we want to install anything in our Android, so SDK is it's a kind of a set of tools and programs which are used to create the specific programs. So for example, I'm writing my Android app, okay, and in the Android app I want to use various features. The one feature is related with GPS location, or another feature is related with battery, right? Another feature is available with for example, a touch screen, touch actions or something like that. So what I have to do, I don't have to write all the programs from the scratch. Why? Because I'm already having the SDK file, and in SDK Android SDK file there are a lot of libraries, library 1, library 2, library 3, and so on. So there are a lot of libraries which are very much specified in specific functions. So one library can be used for GPS, another library can be used for battery, another library can be used for touch actions, and so on. So that's why that is the concept of Android SDK, that it provides a different kind of libraries which can be used for creating the another functions of the app, or another features, or another functionalities of the app. Okay, so that's the main concept of Android SDK. So as you can see, SDK tools include a range of things, including the libraries. As I already discussed, a lot of libraries are there for various features. Then it is having the documentation, it is having the code samples, processing, and the guides for the developers that can be used and that can be integrated to our app. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the another page. What is the concept of SDK and IPA? So Xcode SDK is almost almost the same of Android SDK. So in the way we discussed about Android SDK, that in Android SDK we are having a lot of tools and we are having a lot of libraries and programs. In the same way, Xcode SDK is for iOS. So iOS also having some native libraries, some tools, some documentation, some code samples which can be used for writing the iOS program, and that is known as Xcode SDK. And IPA is nothing else but IPA is extension for App Store package. So it's more like the APK file. So whatever we are having in Android, like APK we are having in Android, in the same way IPA we are having in iOS application. So any file with IPA extension is an iOS application, and the same way the behavior is the same. As we know from the architecture of Android, that Android can only interact with APK related things for installation purpose. In the same way, iOS operating system can interact with IPA files for any kind of installation related tasks. So that is the concept of IPA and APK. Okay, now let's do a small comparison of the mobile platforms. So Android was launched in 2008, and we all know that it's owned by Google, and the language which is used for Android is Java and Kotlin. iOS was introduced in 2007. It is owned by Apple, and the language which we are using for the development is Swift. In the same way, Windows is launched in year 2009. It is owned by Microsoft, and the language which we are using for Windows is C#. Usually all the coding which we are doing for Windows is we are mainly using this in C#. So that is the concept of mobile. Sorry, that's a bit of comparison of the different kind of platforms which are available for mobile. So sometimes this is asked that what are the different kind of languages which we are using for Android, what are the different kind of languages which we are using for iOS and for Windows. So all this comparison is there, and you have to keep this thing in mind. At least you are acquainted with these kind of things. Now coming to different kind of mobile apps. So yesterday someone of you are asking about the different kind of mobile apps. So today we will see what are the different kind of mobile apps and what are their different kind of features, or what are the different kind of traits which are associated with the mobile app. So usually all the mobiles are categorized into three: the native apps, the hybrid apps, and the web apps, right? So web apps are quite simple. So for example, you are going to www.google.com, right? This we are going in our Chrome browser of our desktop, for example. If we are doing the same thing in our mobile browsers, right? If we are doing the same thing in our mobile browser, so in mobile we also have the browsers like the Chrome browser or Safari browser or whatever. So if the same thing we are doing in our mobile browser, then these are known as mobile apps, right? So these are known as web apps basically, because mobile apps are categorized into three: native, hybrid, and web apps. So these are known as the web apps. So web apps are nothing but when we are interacting with any URL in a mobile browser, then all those things are known as web apps, right? So for creating the web apps, the effort which we have to make is quite less, because the only thing which we have to keep into the consideration is the designs and the layouts, right? So if this is my design for the web browser, right? For example, in the desktop or laptop or in web, I am looking this thing, something like that. So I have to keep the considerations of in the designing when I have to see this thing in a mobile. So all those considerations are important, and that's the thing which that's the only thing which needs to be considered when we are just creating the web app, and when we want to use it as a mobile app. So that's the only thing. That's why there's no need of installation, or there's no need of any other equipment or any other tool when we are dealing with the web app. So that's quite simple. Now let's take an example. What are the native apps? So native apps, as yesterday we already discussed, native apps are the apps which are using the features or the functionalities which are very much based on the native libraries. So let's go to the another slide and see. So native apps are exclusively built for specific operating systems. So when we are talking about the native apps, they are different for iOS, right? And then they are also different for Android. So native app, we have one native app, like we can say that one native app for Android and one native app for iOS. They cannot be used as the common apps for both the platforms. So they are always different for different operating systems, and it will be different for Windows. And what is the main advantage what's the main concept behind the native apps? So when I am writing a native app in the Android, it is using all the we have this Android SDK. So in the SDK, we have different kind of libraries, Android SDK libraries, which are used for writing some app. So it is using all the native libraries which are available in Android SDK. That's why these apps are known as the native apps. In the same way, if you are talking about the iOS native apps, so iOS native apps are using all the support of the natives library, which is available in Xcode SDK, right? So they are using the concept of they are using all the libraries which are available in Xcode SDK. In the same way, Windows operating system also have one SDK. So all the native apps which are written in Windows, they are using all the native libraries which are provided with the Windows operating system. So that is the concept of native apps. They are written in such a way that they are different for all the operating systems. So if I talk about Android, So Android native apps, Android support Java and Kotlin, so they are written in Java and they are written in Kotlin. Either you can use Java or you can use Kotlin, right? In the same way, if I talk about iOS, the native apps can be written in Swift or they can be written in Xcode. If I am talking about Windows, native apps can be written in C#, right? The main advantage of the native app is they are very fast in the performance because they are using the native features or native functionalities which are available for the operating system. So they are very fast. They are more interactive. Probably you have seen this native app, whatever the native app you are taking, there are specific layout features, there are specific layout functions, so they are more interactive. They are very good in UI UX because for the design and all other things we can use the native libraries. So that's why the UI UX is quite good, and they are able to access all the built-in capabilities like camera, GPS, etc. But there are limitations of the native apps. The one of the limitation is they are built for the single platform. So if the native app which is written for Android cannot be used for iOS, that's one of the limitation. Swift and Kotlin are hard to learn in the same way, because if you want to create a native app in iOS, you have to learn Swift. If you want to create a native app on Android, you have to learn Kotlin. So sometimes these languages are quite hard to learn, and for all the platforms, you have to learn a different language. So that's why it's a bit hard. And then they are expensive to develop, because if I want to, I have a business concept, for example. So I have a business concept and I have to create an app. So the one team I have to make is for Android, and the another team I have to make in iOS. So Android team has all these software testers, software developers, product owners, and so on, and the iOS team has the same different stream. So for native apps, I have to maintain them in two different ways. So all these things, all the expenses, all the things are twice as more as the hybrid apps, because in case of hybrid app, the app will remain the same. There will be the same app which can be used for Android and iOS. So that's why sometimes they are quite expensive to develop and also quite expensive to maintain. Now let's see the concept of hybrid apps. So hybrid apps are the apps which are using the concept of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and mobile JavaScript framework. So all these things, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these when we are using these technologies for creating the apps, those apps are known as hybrid apps, and they are not built for specific platforms. So for Android, for iOS, the hybrid app would remain the same, and you can install it like the native apps from the Play Store. So the installation process is the same. You have to install it from the platforms like the Google Play Store or this iOS iOS Play Store. So the installation process is like the native app, but the main difference is these apps are built on the technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and mobile JavaScript framework. So all these things are being used for the hybrid apps, and they are not built for the specific platform. So hybrid apps are mostly the one, like we have to develop the concept, we have to maintain the concepts just as a one, and then they are packaged in a different for Android and iOS as well. But the main development activity or the main content which are being used by the hybrid apps is same, that they are using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and mobile JavaScript framework. So there is no use, or in other words, we can say that there is no way by which we have to duplicate our efforts, right? So effort will be the same, because the development in both for both the platforms, Android and iOS, will be in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we are using the concept of mobile JavaScript framework. The only thing is the packaging is different. So once this code is there, I will do the packaging separately for Android, and I will do packaging separately for iOS, and then it will be APK, and then it will be IPA, and then I will send it to Google Play Store or and then Apple Play Store. So all these things would so the packaging would be different, but the main code content would remain same. But in the case of native apps, the main development code is different. So if it is Android, we are developing it in a different way. If it is iOS, we are developing it in a different way, and then we are packaging it. So there is its packaging, right? We are packaging it, and then we are sending it to the Play Stores. So we are sending it to Google Play Store, or we are sending it to Apple Play Store, and all this. Okay, so any confusion in this, or is it clear? What's the main mechanism, or what's the concept behind the hybrid app? Is it clear? There was a question. Let me check. Okay, performance is a bit better for native apps. Yes, that's true that the performance is better in the native app. So what are the advantage of the hybrid app? The main advantage is the reduction in the cost. So cost is bit reduced because we don't have to duplicate our efforts. We less maintenance work is there, obviously, because we have to maintain only one code, so less maintenance is there. And single app for all the platforms, because we don't have to worry about this, the one single app is used for Android, iOS, Windows, all these things. So that's a main advantage. Portability is easy because as I already discussed, in case of these native apps, they are portable. So if the code is remain the same, the only thing is if you want to port the same code into what I'm saying, like from Android to iOS, the only thing is the packaging, which on which I have to concentrate. So that's why these apps are quite portable. That because this is the main development code, and after that, what differently we are doing is the packaging. The packaging is different. This is packaging for Android, this is packaging for iOS, and this is packaging for Windows. But the main code, the core code, will remain the same. So portability is quite easy. And then device utilities can be accessed using the APIs. That's also one of the advantage, and they are quite easy to build. So these are the advantages associated with the hybrid app. But what are the limitations? The limitations are related with the performance. The performance is not so good. Why? Because for Android, for the better performance of Android, for better performance of iOS, we have to use some of the native libraries. And in these hybrid apps, we are not able to use those native libraries. So that's why the performance is not so good. Then they are less secure. They are less interactive. The reason is quite simple, because for Android and iOS, there are specifically native libraries which makes them more interactable, which makes them more secure, right? But in case of hybrid apps, we are not able to use those native libraries. So they are not as secure as Android apps or iOS apps, native apps, and they are not as interactive as the native apps. That's the reason. Whenever you are going for the development, Android development specifically, then you will easily get this concept that there are lots and lots of libraries in Android which are used for interaction, for make the interaction better, which are used for make interaction more secure, which are used for making the performance more robust. But if we are using the hybrid apps, then this things is going on a toss. So that is one of the limitation. Okay, now let's going to the web apps concept. So what are the web apps? Web apps are simple. If we want to open something on a web page in a mobile browser, then these are known as web apps. And the advantages which are associated with web apps is reduced cost, no installation is needed, always up to date, we can access them anywhere because we don't have to any install them or nothing related with that. The only thing which you have to do is just to open a browser and just to open an app, and that's it. That's the main advantage. What are the limitation of web apps? Web apps are always having UI UX issues, security flaws, performance issues, and we are not able to access all the features in the like in the native devices. So whenever you have gone through any specific URL on a mobile site, probably that's not so much catchy, or that's not so interactive for you, because it's always like a case that whenever we are going through any we are going through any URL and we are looking in a particular browser, this UI UX is sometimes truncated, sometimes the alignment is not good, all these kind of problems are there with the web app. So that's why web apps are uh, not a good way to be presented in front of users. Then there are also security flaws, because all this security related threat like cross-site scripting or SQL injectioning, all other things are making web apps more vulnerable for the attacks. So that's why web apps are not so much it's not a good idea to use the web apps. And then there are some performance issues. also, because when sometimes the page load timeout is quite high and we want to access some page, but this page cannot be accessed because of high time or high performance time. So considering all these points, web apps are not a very good choice, but still we have some advantages, like if you don't have any cost to create a native app or a hybrid app, so you can just use the web apps, and then there is no installation needed. They are always up to date, so there is nothing that you have to go to the Play Store and update your app from time to time. So all these things, we get rid of all those things, and that's why sometimes web apps are advantageous in terms of the cost and in terms of the time. Like if we don't want to pay developers for creating the native apps or the hybrid apps, and it's a good idea to use the web apps in place of hybrid and native apps. Now there's a question whenever you are going for interview, sometimes it's asked that what are the advantages and disadvantages of native and the hybrid apps? Can you make a comparison? So the performance, as we already talked about, performance is high in native apps, which is medium in hybrid apps. What is the reason of the high performance in native apps? We already discussed this thing. The reason for the high performance in native app is they are using the core libraries which are written for specific Android or iOS systems, and those libraries are responsible for high performance, right? And in the case of hybrid apps, they are not able to use those core libraries or core features. So that's the reason the hybrid apps are not so interactive or not so performance wise, not so good. Budget, which is expensive. The native apps are expensive because the code needs to be developed in two different teams, right? And after that, there's the packaging. So that's why the two we have to maintain. We have to maintain two different code, and for these two different code base, we need two different teams. So we need a complete set of different testers, developers, product owners, and so on. So that's why they are expensive. Development language, Object-C, Swift, Java. So Swift is for iOS, Objective-C is for iOS, Java, Kotlin for Android, but they are in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and mobile JavaScript framework. So they are using the concept of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so on. Development time for native app, it's high because obviously there are two different teams which are being set up, right? And these two different teams are working on the concepts, working on different concepts. So that's why the development time is quite high for native apps, but it is comparatively, it's very low for hybrid apps. Why? Because only one team is there. And all the efforts which are required are not so huge, right? User experience, that is excellent for the native apps. What's the reason the user experience is excellent for native apps? The reason is quite simple. In the case of native app, we are using the libraries, which are the native libraries, which are there available in Android and iOS. So because of those native libraries, the user experience is excellent. But for hybrid apps, the user experience is just average. It's not so good. What are the different, do you know any example of hybrid apps? So probably you can go to Khan Academy, you can go to Uber. All these apps are Brewdog. All these apps are these are the hybrid apps. So if you want to see how hybrid apps are there, how hybrid apps are in look and feel, probably you can just install Khan Academy or Uber or this Brewdog. These all are the native apps. Sorry, the hybrid apps. So they are not the native apps. Security, as I already explained you, native apps are more secure. Why? The reason is very simple. They are able to access some special libraries which are written in Android specifically or iOS specifically. And with the help of these libraries, they are able to access the security features. So that's why they are more secure. But in the case of hybrid apps, they are less secure. Code portability, in native apps, code portability is less. In the hybrid apps, the code portability is high. What's the reason? Because in hybrid apps, the code base remain the same. As I already talked, in hybrid apps, this code base is remain the same. And then based on the different operating system, what we are doing it different packaging. So we are packaging it here, we are packaging it here, we are packaging it here. So packaging is bit different, but the code portability, so that's why the packaging is different, but the main code remain the same. That's why they are more portable. But in the case of native apps, the portability is less because the code base is different. So there is one code base, another code base, right? For Android, this code base is also for iOS. So if we want to port it from another system to another, one system to another, we have to make the changes in the whole code base, and it will take time, and it will be coming with some additional cost as well. So that's why we are saying the code portability is less here, and here the code portability is high. Any question till now? Okay, no questions. Now, finally, that's more or less for today's session, and we will go with some interview questions. That what kind of interview questions can be asked with the topics which we have covered till now. So the first thing that can be asked is what is the difference between hybrid and a native app? So probably right now you are able to explain the concept of native apps and hybrid apps, advantages, disadvantages. So you can easily, I think there's nothing, what would I can say, like it's quite easy now for you to explain this thing. So this is done. What kind of apps performs faster, native or hybrid? What's the reason behind that? So native apps are always coming with better performance. The reason is native apps are using the core libraries which are written in Android and which are written in iOS for creating the code base. So that's why the performance is quite faster in native apps rather than the hybrid apps. What is the concept of APK file? Android package file, and an APK is the file or the extension which can be used by the Android operating system to install the app. So once it comes to installation, whenever you are going to a Play Store, you are downloading some file. This is the APK file which you are downloading, and this APK file is being used to install any app on Android. That is the concept of APK file. What is the concept of IPA file? IPA file is iOS packaging file. So IPA is just as APK in Android, we have the concept of IPA in iOS. So if you have an iOS system, operating system, and you are going on a Apple Play Store, so in Apple Play Store, what you will find, the IPA files, and these IPA files are used for installing anything on the iOS devices. What's the approximate percent of the global market share which is captured by Android and iOS? It's approximately 74 and 24%, 74 point something and 24. So it's just 3/4 of the total global market is captured by Android rather than 1/4 is total captured by iOS. So just for interview point of view, a tidbit kind of point of view, it's very important to know this fact. What is the latest Android version? Sometimes this kind of questions are also asked, that what is the latest Android version? So please keep this thing in mind. Right now the Android is on 11 with API 30. Check it with Google as well, because might be there will be a new version in few days back or something like that. So if this is the case, then please update this version with the latest version, right? What are the limitations of web apps? Web apps, there are a lot of limitations that they are not faster. We have the UI UX related issues. They are not so secure. All these things are kind of limitations with the web apps. Some example of hybrid apps. So you can always give examples of Uber. Uber is a very nice example of hybrid app. Then Khan Academy, another example of hybrid app. Twitter is also an example of hybrid apps. So all these things are just an example of hybrid apps. And before going to interview, it's always a nice idea to just navigate through these apps to see how they are behaving, install them on your mobile, see how they are behaving, and what are the limitations of using them, and so on. So just keep an eye on this, install these apps and see how everything is going on for getting a better understanding of these apps. The web app which was being used by you in your project was a native app or a hybrid app? So that is the very first question which is usually asked when you are going for an interview, mobile interview, and you are showing experience that you have already tested some app. So they will ask what kind of app was it? Was it a native app or a hybrid app? So please, that you have to be very clear in this thought, that whether you have used a native app or whether it's a hybrid app. If you are using a native app, then you have to be prepared for another kind of questions, and they will ask that what are the advantages associated with that app, and like the native app, and how you are installing it, how you are uninstalling it. All these kind of questions will be asked afterward. But probably the very first question which is going to be asked is the application which you have used, whether was it a native app or a hybrid app. So please be prepared if you are working in some organization right now and you are using some app, so you have to be prepared for this answer, that whether it's a native app or a hybrid app. So that's more or less for today's session. And do you have any questions and answers? If you have, then we can take them right now. Jyoti is asking, sir, please give interview question and answer docs. That I will provide you at the end of this course, because after till that, we will be using this kind of format. And once usually I'm doing it twice. So once we are in a between of the course, then I'm providing this, compiling all these questions in this document, and then I'm sending you, and then finally at the end of this session.
So, sir, please, can you give answer also together? Question and answer, or only question?
Right now, I have compiled the questions because answers we are discussing in the live sessions, when we are in the class. But if you have any concern related with some particular question, then probably we can repeat it, and we can answer it one more time or something like that. Because writing an answer is a bit hectic, so yeah, that's the case.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question? Okay, then that's all for today's session. And yeah, we will get the notification in the WhatsApp that when our next session will be, and then we will continue based on that. Thanks for attending the session, and yeah, have a good day. Bye.